Saturday morning FCS. You know, Chris tried to put these plays out on a Friday last week and went 1-3 for crying out loud. That drops his record all the way down to 40-20. 40 wins, just 20 losses, 67%. And now we're back on Saturday morning. Let's get back on track here. Let's go 3-1, 4-0 this week. See how it rolls. All right, let's see what we got. First game, Campbell against Hampton. Hampton's nickname, by the way, is the Pirates. And remember, these FCS pages take you all the way back. You want any information in the FCS, go all the way back to 2013. It's color-coded red and green. We started doing individual player stats in 2018. They're all in there still. We don't delete the stuff. And it's great for research. There's many times you say, hey, you know, you got an FBS player, you want to go back and see what he did at that FCS school in whatever year. You can go back and even look game by game. You know, like here, Hampton, for example, you got every single game by game for each player. Let's see what Chris has got here now. He's got Campbell, -3.5 over Hampton. Now, Campbell is just 1-5 straight up this year. Look at that, 1 green, 5 red. And they've lost their last 2 games, but they played a killer schedule. They only lost by 11 at number 18, Rhode Island. Led Furman 24-18 in the fourth quarter, but lost by 4. Only lost to West Carolina by 7, and suffered 2 blowout losses to FBS teams in East Carolina and NC State. The one win came over Bryant by 2, and in that game they had a 167-yard edge. Hampton is 2-4, but their wins came against Elizabeth City State and Norfolk State. And Norfolk State, by the way, is 0-5 versus FCS and FBS teams. 2 weeks ago, we went against going against Hampton when they lost to Elon 41-20. Hampton also lost to Jackson State here in the opener. They also lost to 1-5 North Carolina A&T, as well as Howard. The computer has Campbell by 6. The AGG has Campbell by 11, yet they're only -3.5 here. This is the schedule strength game of the week. Campbell's played our 14th toughest schedule. Let's go take a look at that and see if we have it available. Go to the Phil Steele Plus menu, and we go to FCS information. Look at this, strength of schedule. Campbell has played the 14th toughest schedule. Hampton has played the 110th toughest schedule. So while both teams have very weak records, Campbell has an excuse for it. They've taken on a much tougher schedule this year. I like that. So, utilizing Phil Steele Plus, Chris comes up with Campbell 31 and Hampton 20. All right, your next game, Northern Arizona versus UC Davis. It is at UC Davis. We'll put UC Davis on the right. That's FBS, FCS team pages. UC Davis comes over here on the right. And their nickname is the Aggies. And Northern Arizona's nickname is the Lumberjacks. Northern Arizona was a playoff team last year. Yeah, look at that. Nice season. Playoff team. Lost to Abilene Christian in the playoffs. They finished 8-5. It's the second year for head coach Brian Wright. And he brought back 12 starters, including Ty Pennington. That's a familiar name. I remember him from Marshall. Take a look how Ty's doing this year. Yep, Ty has started all 6 games. And he has hit 62% with a 9-2 ratio. That's nice. Number 1 rusher, Seth. Oh, and Pennington was the quarterback last year at a 13-3 ratio, 65%. Seth Cromwell was here last year, leading rusher. He's back. 5 starters on the defense had held foes to 68 yards per game below average. So it's a veteran playoff team from last year with all the key players back. NIU played tough in the opener against Arizona State. Only lost by 19 and covered. They have won 4 straight, including a win over Incarnate Word. Evidently, Incarnate Word must be good, or Chris wouldn't have pointed it out. So let me take a look at Incarnate Word real quick, see what they got going on. Incarnate Word. They played Northern Arizona. All right, there you go. All right, let's take a look. So we got UC Davis. Let's put them back over here. UC Davis. All right, last week they lost to Montana State 34-10, but they're only outgained 417 to 296. QB Pennington has a 9.2 ratio. UC Davis was a playoff team last year, finishing 11-3. Okay, these guys were also a playoff team. Very nice. Head coach Tim Plow also brought back 9 starters this year, including just 2 on defense. And they had to replace their quarterback. As you see, there's no Hastings. He had a 38-13 ratio. They replaced him with Caden Pinnock. And their AA running back, Lan Larson. Larson had 1,465 yards last year. UC Davis was minus 21.5 in the opener and only won by 7 at Utah Tech. They were crushed by Washington 70-20, beat by Southern Utah 50-34. They caught Weber State with a backup quarterback and won 34-12. Then only won 34-27, minus 10 against Cal Poly. And keep in mind, if you want to get the logs, once again, you go to the Phil Steele Plus menu. And when you go to the FCS information, you click on FCS ATS logs, and right there they are. There's your logs with the spreads on every single game this year. Our AGG, let's go back to this now. Let's get UC Davis back up there. UC Davis, there you go. Our AGG is the game at Pick'em. So now remember, the AGG, and the beautiful thing about this, and actually the AGG's gone by more than Pick'em, right? That is Northern Arizona. The AGG only takes into account the opponents. It has no starting value on a team. It takes into account the opponent, the points in the game naturally, but also the yards, rushing yards, passing, both offense and defense are all included, as well as the site. It's all included in here. So, like here, they beat Utah Tech by 7 on the road, and they beat Southern Utah by 16 at home, yet had a better grade for the Utah Tech game because they were plus 64 yards versus minus 30, and the game was on the road. That's why it's a better grade despite the fact they won by less points. But look at this. They're only a 79-3. Normally it's a 2-point home edge. So what Chris says in the FCS, so that'd be 81. Northern Arizona, 84. I'm looking at this. His play is Northern Arizona plus 7.5. So you have this team. It looks like the better team, and they're the underdog. The last 4 weeks, AGG has the game at Pick'em. Yes, the last 4 weeks has the game. Oh, he says that the AGG has a -3. I read wrong. So he is correct. It is -3. The last 4 weeks, AGG has them at Pick'em. Yet they're plus 7.5. It's the AGG, average game grade, game of the week. And Chris is calling for the Lumberjacks to pull the outright upset here. It looks like they will. I like this one. Northern Arizona plus 7.5 at UC Davis. All right, Mercer against Princeton. And let's take a look at this. And Princeton is at home, so let's put Mercer on the left. And we are going to put Princeton on the right. There we go. Princeton's the Tigers. Why is an Ivy League team playing a non-Ivy League team during the season? Oh, they're still in preseason. Look at that. Last year we used Mercer minus 6.5 against Princeton on the tour, and the Bears gave us an easy winner, 34-7. Let's take a look at that. See, 34-7, 376, 196 yard edge, and they were a tour play last year. Now Mercer trailed the opener against UC Davis, that team we just talked about, 22-3. But we're only down 6 and driving when the game. You know, I looked over here and I'm like, is Chris wrong? Why is that game not listed? Let's go back to thinking once again. That's the game they trailed UC Davis 22-3. They're down 6 and driving. It got suspended for weather and declared no contest and no stats count. That's why it's not in here. So I remember that game. That was the opening week of the season. They were upset by Presbyterian in the first official game, and then they switched quarterbacks in game 2. Let's take a look at that. So Braden Atkinson did not play those first 2 as DJ Smith. Atkinson's taken over here. Has thrown for 311, 305, 187. How about 365 with a 5-0 ratio last week? So let's ignore this Presbyterian game. Let's just go with the Atkinson games. He's 4-0. Mercer only beat Wofford 22-21, but had a 460. Look at this. They had a 468 to 291 yard edge. They won at the Citadel 38-0, beat East Tennessee State on the road 38-34, and beat Samford 45-21 with a 557, 342 yard edge. Atkinson's hitting 72% with a 13-3 ratio. Princeton is number 107 in our past D rankings. Okay, let's go to the Phil Steele Plus menu. And we click on FCS information. And we click on pass efficiency defense. And he says that Princeton is 107. Okay, so they are allowing 73.2% completions. And they haven't taken on very good quarterbacks. So I think Atkinson will have a big game. Nice call there, Chris. Way to utilize Phil Steele Plus for these selections. Princeton lost their opener against San Diego. Let's go back to get Princeton on here. Oops, FCS team pages. And we go to Princeton. There we go. Okay, so they lost. Princeton lost the opener to San Diego 35-42. Then upset Lafayette and beat Columbia 17-10. The Tigers are minus 39 yards per game. That's right here. These guys are plus 87. Princeton's taken on the number 113 schedule. I could go back and show you the schedule. You know where it's at. But Mercer's played the tougher schedule, number 96. The AGG has Mercer by 15. So you give them the 2-point home edge at 62. You got 77 here. That's 15 they should win by. The computer has Mercer by 16. The last 4 weeks has Mercer by 20.7. These guys are playing at a 60 level the last 4 weeks. They're playing at an 82.7 level. Once again, you eliminate the Presbyterian game, and in Atkinson games, and that's the beauty of this last 4 weeks, Mercer's playing at an 82.7 level. So that's 20.7 points. This is a last 4 weeks game of the week, I'd say. They dominated the Tigers last year. The last 4 weeks, AGG expects a similar performance this year. We're going with Mercer, minus 9.5 over Princeton. All right, let's get to your fourth game, East Tennessee State. And remember, guys, I showed you the special. Let's see what we got here. Go back to, let me see if I can find that special for you real quick. All right, we're going for power ratings. There we go. Click on that and go to week 7. I'll be with you. Get this in 1 sec here. And the battle is on. If you would like to get Phil Steele Plus for the rest of the year, all right, Phil Steele Plus, all this information, all this stuff I'm clicking on, become an instant FCS expert, it's $99, right? But if you subscribe to Inside the Press Box, you get my Inside the Press Box newsletter for the rest of the season. And the computer's red hot. I showed you all this on the other one, so I'm not going to go too much in depth. But the computer heats up this time of year, 39.19, 301 again last week. You type in the code COMPUTER9. Press Box is $169. The NFL Press Box is $169. Bundles $269. I've given you 53% off. You get Press Box for $79, $79, $125. Why do I say that? Because it includes Phil Steele Plus. So basically, you get Phil Steele Plus for $79. You get Press Box for free, or get Press Box at 53% off and get Inside Phil Steele Plus for free. Go sign up. Use the code word COMPUTER9. There's 9 weeks left of the season of Press Box. COMPUTER9 gets you all the computer best bets, all my best bets, complete write-ups on every game for the rest of the regular season, all the way through that first week of the championship playoffs, all for $79. Use the code COMPUTER9. Okay, let's go back here now. Our last game, East Tennessee State is at home. So let's go click on East Tennessee State. East Tennessee State. Here we go. Oh, the Buccaneers. Look at that. Will Healy. I remember Will. We've had him on the tour here before. VMI. And Will, of course, was the head coach at Charlotte. Remember the club something in the locker room after the wins at where he was at Charlotte. Let's take a look at, and they had a great season that first year. Oops, not East Tennessee. It is VMI. Let's get VMI here. FCS, VMI. Let's take a look. See what we got going on here. VMI is the Keydets. All right. We used East Tennessee, I remember, a few times this year. That's what I said. I remember Will Healy. The Bucs are coached by Will Healy, who brought in 27 transfers. They beat Murray State by 28. I like that. They also beat Elon 26-16 with a 406 to 293 yard edge. The Bucs have lost 4 games. One was an expected loss at Tennessee. In their 3 FCS losses, they led West Georgia 31-20 in the fourth quarter, allowed a game-winning touchdown with 15 seconds left. They led Mercer 27-17 at the half, 34-24 in the fourth quarter, but lost by 4. And last week they led Furman 22-7 in the third quarter. They still led 22-17 fourth quarter, gave up a 53-yard TD pass with 3:57 left, 25-22. They were in field goal range at the Furman 26. But QB Criswell threw a pick 6 on the game's final play. So what we have here, my friends, is a misleading final. Everybody looks and sees they lost by 9, but they could easily have won that game. VMI head coach Danny Rocco is also an FCS coaching legend that led both Liberty and Delaware to the FCS semifinals. Unfortunately, winning at VMI isn't easy, and they were 1-11 last year. There we go. The Cadets are 1-4 this year and minus 116 yards per game. Their only win came against D2 Ferrum College, and in that game they were plus 213. So if we were to subtract that out, this would be even like minus 156. They lost at home to a UT Chattanooga team that's 2-4 this year, and their only win came against non-scholarship Stetson of the Pioneer League. No, last week UT Chattanooga's only win. All right, ETSU is playing three plays away from being 5-1, and they're played a much tougher schedule. I like that. You've got a better average yards per game against 24 against 84. I showed you where to go for the schedule. You know where to look. It's 24 against 84. Now they're minus 19 here. Both the AGG and the last 4 weeks AGG have them winning by 24. We're going to get back on that East Tennessee State bandwagon. We're going to take East Tennessee State minus 19.5 over VMI. There's your 4 plays for the week. Remember, by the way, just real quick, if you go to the Phil Steele store, you want to get the FCS magazine, which has 2 full pages on every FCS team. You got to go to digital editions for that. The menu I'm showing you right now shows you where to get press box to get that deal. But digital editions get you the FCS magazine for $25, 2 full pages on every FCS team. That'll do it for the tour. Let's hope Chris gets back on track this week. He's only 40-20, 67% the last 3 years on these things. Let's have a big winning week, and thanks for taking the Phil Steele Plus FCS tour.